Good evening, everyone. As we stand on the threshold of a new year, I want you to imagine a version of yourself who is unapologetically focused on growth, joy, and authenticity. 2025 is not just another year, it's an invitation to turn inward, to stop seeking validation outside ourselves, and to start building a life rooted in what truly matters to us.we all wear armor. It's not the kind of armor you can see like shields or helmets, but it's just as heavy, maybe even heavier because it's invisible to the world. This armor is made of perfectionism, people-pleasing, overachievement, and the constant need to prove that we are enough. Let's pause for a moment and think about why we wear this armor. Somewhere along the way, we learned that the world can be harsh. We learned that showing our true selves, our messy, imperfect, vulnerable selves might result in judgment, rejection, or criticism. So we did what we thought we had to do to survive. We put on our armor. Perfectionism became our shield. If we're perfect, no one can criticize us, right? If we do everything flawlessly, we can avoid failure, shame, or embarrassment. But perfectionism doesn't protect us, it paralyzes us. It keeps us from starting new projects, taking risks, or even asking for help when we need it. It whispers in our ear, don't even try if you can't do it perfectly, and so we stay stuck. Then there's the armor of overachievement. For many of us, busyness and productivity have become badges of honor. We think if we just accomplish one more thing, we'll finally feel worthy. But here's the truth, no amount of gold stars, promotions, or external validation will ever fill the void if we don't believe we're worthy as we are. And let's not forget the armor of people-pleasing. How many times have we said yes when we really wanted to say no? How often have we suppressed our true feelings just to keep the peace or avoid conflict? People-pleasing might feel like the nice thing to do, but it's exhausting. It's living a life dictated by what others want rather than what we need. The problem with armor is that while it might protect us from some pain, it also blocks us from connection, joy, and growth. It weighs us down, keeps us from being fully present, and separates us from who we truly are. So how do we let go of the armor? It starts with recognizing that the armor isn't serving us anymore. It might have helped us in the past, but it's not helping us thrive. It's keeping us small, safe, and stuck. Next, we need to embrace vulnerability. Yes, vulnerability feels scary, but it's also where all the magic happens. Vulnerability is where we find courage, authenticity, and connection. It's where we allow ourselves to be seen, not as perfect, but as human. Letting go of the armor also means practicing self-compassion. We have to remind ourselves that we're allowed to make mistakes, to fall short, to not have it all together. Self-compassion is the antidote to perfectionism because it reminds us that our worth isn't tied to our achievements or how flawless we appear. And finally, letting go of the armor requires trust. Trust in ourselves that we are resilient enough to handle criticism, rejection, or failure. Trust in others that there are people in our lives who will love and accept us, even when we're not perfect. Imagine what your life would look like if you weren't carrying around all that weight. Imagine how much lighter, freer, and more joyful you'd feel if you showed up as your true self. 2025 is the year to drop the shield, to take a deep breath and let yourself be seen, not the polished, perfect version of you, but the real you. Because the real you is enough. Always has been, always will be. What does success mean to you? Take a moment to really think about it. Is it tied to a certain job title, a certain income, or a certain level of recognition? Or is it something deeper, something that feels less like a checklist and more like a sense of fulfillment? For most of us, the definition of success we've been handed doesn't truly come from within. It's shaped by external forces, societal expectations, family pressures, the media, and even comparison to others. We're told success looks like climbing the corporate ladder, owning a big house, driving the right car, or collecting a string of impressive accomplishments. But here's the truth, none of that will matter if it's out of alignment with who you really are. Let's start with this idea success is not one size fits all. What feels like success to one person might feel meaningless to another. For example, some people thrive in the hustle and love the pursuit of big, bold goals. Others feel most successful when they're living a life of simplicity, spending time with loved ones, or pursuing a passion that might not come with a big paycheck. Both are valid. Both are worthy. Redefining success begins with letting go of the idea that it has to look a certain way. It's about unlearning the belief that success is solely about money, status, or outward appearances. It's about realizing that chasing someone else's version of success will leave you feeling unfulfilled, no matter how many boxes you check. Instead, ask yourself what truly matters to me. Success should feel aligned with your values, your passions, and your sense of purpose. Maybe for you, success is having the flexibility to spend more time with your family. Maybe it's traveling the world, pursuing a creative project, or simply waking up every day with a sense of peace. The next step is to set boundaries around this new definition of success. When you choose to live in alignment with your personal version of success, you're going to encounter resistance both from others and from yourself. People might not understand your choices. They might question why you're not chasing the traditional markers of success. And your inner critic might whisper, "You're falling behind, but here's the thing, you're not behind if you're on your path." We also need to acknowledge the role that failure plays in success. So often we view failure as the opposite of success, but in reality, it's part of the journey. Failure is where we learn, where we grow, and where we discover what doesn't work so we can move closer to what does. Finally, redefining success means making room for joy. So many of us get caught up in the grind, thinking we'll enjoy life once we've made it, but what if success isn't a destination? What if it's a way of being? What if success is found in the small, everyday moments, the laughter, the connections, the experiences that make life rich and meaningful? Imagine it's December 2025 and you're reflecting on your year. What would make you feel truly successful? Not in terms of what others would applaud, but in terms of what would make your heart full. That's your compass. Redefining success isn't about lowering the bar or settling for less. It's about choosing goals that feel authentic and meaningful to you. It's about building a life that reflects your values, not someone else's expectations. And most importantly, it's about living in a way that feels true to who you are. Because at the end of the day, success isn't about how the world sees you. It's about how you see yourself. Let's start with a truth that's hard to accept every time you say yes to something. You're saying no to something else. Your time, energy, and focus are finite resources, and the way you choose to spend them shapes your life. Yet so many of us struggle to say no, even when we know it's what we truly want or need to do. Why is it so hard to say no? For some, it's the fear of disappointing others. We worry that saying no will make us seem selfish, unkind, or ungrateful. For others, it's the fear of missing out, the idea that if we don't say yes to every opportunity, we'll fall behind or miss our chance. And let's be honest, sometimes saying yes feels easier in the moment. It avoids conflict, keeps the peace, and makes us feel useful or needed. But here's the catch: every yes that doesn't align with your priorities or values comes at a cost. It costs you time you could have spent on something meaningful. It costs you energy that could have been used for your own well-being. And perhaps most importantly, it costs you the chance to live in alignment with your true self. Saying no isn't about rejecting people or opportunities. It's about making space for what truly matters. It's about reclaiming control over your life and creating boundaries that protect your peace, your energy, and your goals. The freedom in no. When you embrace the power of no, you're giving yourself permission to prioritize. You're acknowledging that you don't have to do everything, be everywhere, or please everyone. You're recognizing that your time and energy are precious and that you have the right to decide how to use them. Think of no as a way to clear the clutter from your life. When you stop saying yes to every invitation, task, or request, you create room for the things that truly light you up. You create space to focus on your goals, nurture your relationships, and take care of yourself. How to say no gracefully. Saying no doesn't have to be harsh or abrupt. It's possible to set boundaries in a way that feels kind and respectful. Here are some strategies. Be clear and direct. You don't need to over-explain or justify your decision. A simple, I can't commit to that right now is enough. Offer an alternative, if appropriate, suggest a different way to help. For example, I can't attend the meeting, but I'd be happy to review the notes afterward. Practice gratitude. Acknowledge the opportunity with gratitude before declining. For example, thank you so much for thinking of me, but I'm unable to participate. The internal work of saying no. The hardest part of saying no isn't the words, it's the emotional work that comes with it. You might feel guilty, anxious, or even selfish. But remember, saying no to one thing is saying yes to something else. It's saying yes to your priorities, your well-being, and your goals. Ask yourself, what do I want to create space for in my life? Maybe it's more time with your family. Maybe it's pursuing a passion project you've put off for years. Maybe it's simply having the energy to take care of yourself. Whatever it is, let that be your guiding light. The ripple effect of no. When you start saying no to the things that don't serve you, something incredible happens. You inspire others to do the same. You show the people around you that it's okay to set boundaries and prioritize their own needs. You model the kind of self-respect and self-care that creates healthier, more authentic relationships. The challenge for 2025. As you step into 2025, I challenge you to make this the year you embrace the power of no. The next time someone asks for your time, energy, or commitment, pause and ask yourself, does this align with my priorities? Do I have the capacity to give without depleting myself? Will saying yes bring me closer to the life I want to create? If the answer is no, trust that. Trust yourself. Because every time you say no to something that doesn't serve you, you're saying yes to something that does. You're saying yes to your own growth, joy, and fulfillment. And there's nothing selfish about that. Every single one of us carries a story. It's made up of moments, joyful victories, painful losses, messy detours, and quiet triumphs. These stories are uniquely ours, and they shape who we are, yet too often we shrink from them. We downplay our successes, bury our failures, or compare our journeys to others, thinking they don't measure up. Owning your story means accepting all of it, the highs, the lows, the twists, and the turns. It's about embracing your journey as it is without trying to rewrite it to fit someone else's narrative. It's about standing in your truth and saying, this is me. This is my life. This is what has made me who I am. Why we struggle to own our stories. Many of us hesitate to own our stories because of shame. We focus on the parts of our lives we wish were different, the mistakes, the failures, the moments when we felt like we weren't enough. We tell ourselves that if people knew the whole truth, they'd judge us or walk away. But here's the thing, shame only has power when we keep our stories hidden. When we bring them into the light, when we acknowledge them, share them, and own them, we take that power back. Another reason we struggle is comparison. It's easy to look at someone else's highlight reel and feel like our story falls short. But comparison is a thief. It steals our joy, our confidence, and our ability to appreciate the beauty in our own journey. The power of owning your story. When you own your story, something transformative happens. You stop seeking validation from others because you no longer need it. You stop apologizing for the path you've walked because you recognize its value. You begin to see that your story, messy as it may be, is a source of strength, wisdom, and resilience. Owning your story also deepens your connections with others. Vulnerability is the bridge to connection, and when you share your truth, you invite others to do the same. People aren't drawn to perfection, they're drawn to authenticity. When you show up as your full self, flaws and all, you create space for real, meaningful relationships. Steps to owning your story. Acknowledge every chapter. You can't own your story if you only embrace the parts you like. Take time to reflect on your journey, all of it. What have you learned from your struggles? How have your experiences shaped your values, your passions, and your perspective? Remember, the difficult chapters don't define you, but they do teach you. They reveal your strength, your resilience, and your ability to grow. Release shame and judgment. We are often our harshest critics. To own your story, you must learn to extend grace to yourself. Accept that you've made mistakes, just like everyone else. Mistakes are not failures, they're lessons. Practice self-compassion by treating yourself with the same kindness and understanding you'd offer a friend. Stop comparing your story to others. Comparison diminishes the uniqueness of your journey. Your story doesn't need to look like anyone else's to be meaningful. Focus on your own growth and progress, and celebrate the milestones that matter to you. Rewrite the narrative. Sometimes we tell ourselves stories that aren't helpful. We focus on what we've lost instead of what we've gained. We dwell on our shortcomings instead of our strengths. Rewrite the narrative by shifting your perspective. Instead of saying, I failed, try, I learned, instead of, I'm behind, try, I'm exactly where I need to be to grow. Share your story. There's incredible power in sharing your story. Whether it's with a trusted friend in a journal or on a larger platform, sharing helps you process and own your experiences. It reminds you and others that we're all human and we're all in this together. Living your story in 2025. Owning your story isn't just about reflecting on the past, it's about shaping your future. When you own your story, you take control of the next chapter. You stop letting fear, shame, or comparison dictate your choices, and you start living in alignment with your truth. Imagine what your life would look like if you stopped hiding parts of yourself. Imagine the freedom of no longer apologizing for who you are or where you've been. Imagine the courage it would take to say, this is my story, and I'm proud of it. In 2025, let's commit to living fully in our stories. Let's celebrate the messy, beautiful, imperfect journeys that have made us who we are. Let's own our truth with courage and grace. Because when you own your story, you own your power. And when you own your power, you can create a life that's truly your own. As we step into 2025, let's make a collective promise, not to the world, not to anyone else, but to ourselves. Let's promise to show up fully, to honor our needs, and to embrace the messy, beautiful process of becoming. This year is an invitation to focus on what truly matters: your growth, your peace, your joy. It's not about perfection, it's about authenticity. It's not about doing more, it's about being more present. So take off the armor, or redefine what success means to you. Embrace the power of no. And most importantly, own your story, every chapter, every scar, every triumph. Because when you focus on yourself, you don't just transform your own life, you create a ripple effect that inspires others to do the same. 2025 is your year. Step into it with courage, grace, and unwavering belief in your worth. Let this be the year you stop chasing and start choosing. The year you stop shrinking and start rising. The year you finally put yourself first. Here's to the journey ahead, one that's unapologetically yours. Thank you.